Then we'll get back to it. All right. So we're going to talk a little. We're going to talk a little about the ramp. We're going to talk a little about Walker County, Alabama, and then after that, if we still have time, we're going to talk about the UFO, UAP, all the stuff that was released today by the government. That's just not my top priority right now. But and we're also, well, I'll include that in Walker County. I have some very interesting stuff that, with the help of some of you, we discovered that could possibly be related to the Walker County incident with Joshua LeBlanc, the NASA scientist that was allegedly found burned in his car there. And then while digging into that, I have done, well, no, I don't want to take credit for it. One of you sent this to me and said, hey, did you know about this place? And I didn't. And I've spent half the day looking at this place, and it's crazy. Hey, thank you so much for that gift. I didn't see. Oh, blessed. Thank you so much. And if you are getting something out of this, if you're enjoying this, and if you are, again, getting something out of it, especially if you're on TikTok, if you would please send some gifts. That helps me a lot. I got to start bringing it up more often because I just keep forgetting until the end. But anyway, I worked for the government, whether local and or federal, for the last over 20 years, up until 2023. I'd never had a real job before, as I say, such as I'd never worked for a private company. And I've worked all over the state of Alabama. And this one place we're going to talk about tonight, I had no idea existed. And it concerns me how some of these things are right down the street from some of us, and we have no idea they're there. And some of the things they are testing there are very concerning. And I'm going to just about bet you a lot of people that live around some of these places have no idea they're there. Because, again, I didn't. But anyway, we're going to talk about that too. I feel like there's something else. There's so much going on right now, but those are the main things. So let's jump back to, so we see this comment, and then we have again another comment made under one of the videos I did on the ramp. And Belinda Moody Wasn't it? I don't know. I had trouble pronouncing it last night. With this awesome comment. All I will say in this matter, be careful what you say about God's anointed. And then you see my comment here. Do you think God anointed Samuel Bentley? If so, you must have a different God than I do. Because that's what she's saying. What's up, sheet happens? Karen Wheaton says she is a prophet. And then Karen Wheaton declared Samuel Bentley a prophet. So I'm guessing that's who Belinda here is referring to as anointed. And she's telling us to be careful what we say about them. They're God's anointed. It's just hard for me to believe. Very hard for me to believe. Especially now, because we know the entire time that Samuel Bentley has been literally preaching from the pulpit, or well, allegedly. Again, we have now fully discovered this is a cult, not a ministry, but that's what they disguise themselves as of. But he's been preaching. He has been held up as the number 2 in command there for a long time. He has been in charge of all the money, allegedly. And that entire time, he was doing horrible things to children. But yet, Belinda here has the nerve to say, all I will say in this matter is be careful what you say about God's anointed. Let me tell you something first off. If they were truly God's anointed, they wouldn't care what we say. If they were who they said they were, they wouldn't care what any of us say. And they wouldn't turn their comments off so people couldn't say things. That's my belief. Anybody else agree with that? Because the only people I've ever seen turn comments off were guilty. Trust me, there are days I'd like to turn comments off because I get tired of seeing some of the BS that people post, but I don't, and I'm not going to. The fact is, they have been carrying out, in my opinion, the most horrible crime you could do in the name of Jesus. And I think that's a very big problem for them. And I think that's something they'll have to face one day. And I don't think all the money in the world on this earth is going to be worth it. Oh, I've watched that on Netflix, Patty. Patty said, go watch Trust Me on Netflix. If you have not watched that, it's a new documentary. It's come out. It's a solid one. It's heartbreaking, but it's good. It is. And wow, the entire time, and I've heard others say this, the entire time I was watching it, I was saying, wow, that's what so-and-so has told me about the ramp. Wow, that's what so-and-so has told me about Karen Wheaton. Like, it was constant. And, I mean, that guy's just like Karen Wheaton. Except, and this is the scary part, Karen Wheaton is a much better communicator and a lot better leader and a lot more intelligent than that guy. And that's the scary part. Yeah, because the parkour master, that guy was not that intelligent. It blew my mind that he was able to brainwash as many people as he did. Because he's not that intelligent. Karen Wheaton is. And you shouldn't underestimate that. She's not dumb. Well, she's dumb in certain ways you look at it, but as far as intelligence, she's got it. And that makes her more scary. And someone pointed it out to me. Someone that was involved with the Daystar had recently passed away, and apparently it was one of Karen's good friends. And Karen made a post about her. And on that post, she left the comments on. So that shows you she knows what she's doing. Because she knows that's not the place that us anyway. I mean, I'm not going to get on there and say anything because I think that's extremely disrespectful. We're talking about someone that's passed away, whatever. But it was very interesting to me that she didn't mind comments being on that. But on her videos that she puts out, again, they're still turned off. Yeah, Joni Lamb, that was her name. Amy said, I went into a local establishment today and overheard conversation about God between several young men, but also witnessed a couple coming out of apartments above Millhouse Restaurant. Karen Wheaton owned. These kids are being spoon-fed. Give your life and everything you earn to Karen Wheaton and the round. Yes, no, that's exactly right. I mean, we had Rod on the podcast, and you can go back and watch that. You can find that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But we had Rod on, who was a previous staff member and previous student from there, and that's exactly what he said. And that's what they were taught. Give us everything, and God will eventually make you wealthy. He said that was a big thing that Samuel Bentley was preaching to all of them. That's a cult. Like I said, some of the biggest red flags for Karen Wheaton, to me, if the wealthiest person in your community is your pastor, that's a red flag. That's one. If the ministry you attend is literally trying to make a dollar everywhere you turn, they're profiting everywhere you turn, that's a big red flag. And obviously, I can't speak for every church or ministry or anything like that. For the last 10 years, at least, I've attended a very large church. Very large. I grew up in an extremely small Southern Baptist church, or Free Will Baptist church. You know, it'd be about 30 people there. That was a good Sunday. But for the last at least 10 years, a huge church. And then I've visited other churches here and there. I've never been somewhere that they beg for money as much as Karen Wheaton. Ever. That's a red flag to me as well. Not being fully transparent with your finances, with your ministry, huge red flag. I attend what a lot of you would call a mega church. Finances are fully transparent. As a member, I can go and look up where every single penny is spent, every single penny brought in and spent. I don't have to look at debt because my church has none. They have no debt. We also found out a couple weeks ago, and I have not been able to fully verify this, so this is alleged, that allegedly the ramp has some debt. If that is true, and I'm pretty sure it is from the source I heard it from, that is very concerning because that woman and that ministry has brought in so much money. It's unbelievable. And there was already a lot of money just unaccounted for. But if they, and again, this is allegedly, but if they truly have debt, oh my goodness, it's even way worse than I realized. I'm also pretty confident. So I'm still going to say allegedly at this point, but I'm getting close. But I'm getting pretty confident to where I think soon, again, right now, allegedly, but I think soon I'll be able to say there's been a lot of money laundered through there. I 100% believe that. In law enforcement, we call that a criminal organization, not a religious organization. The only difference between them and a criminal organization, the only difference between them and the what most would consider a criminal organization is they use the name of Jesus Christ to carry out their fraud and criminal enterprise. So does this Keaton person over here is truly, are you in the cult? Are you a member of the ramp? I mean, I've been looking, and we've been trying, my team and I have been trying, and I would give anything to get a current member of the ramp to come up and speak. I won't be disrespectful to you. We will have a very civil conversation. Again, it's concerning to me that we can't find that. If someone called me and said, hey, I want you to come on a podcast and talk about my church, absolutely. Of course. Well, they may verbally abuse women and victims, but I can tell you this, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, they won't do that in front of me. So it's just a warning to Jamie and Keaton. I wouldn't suggest doing that when I'm around. And you can call that a threat or whatever you want. I don't care. I'm just being honest with you. There's certain things at this point in my life I can't handle, and that's one of them. You're exactly right, Karen. I mean, oh my goodness. You're exactly right, Amy. Amy said Karen Wheaton is not God's anointed. And if you think that, you're part of the problem. No, I think, Michael, if this was truly investigated, absolutely it would be a RICO. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I will say this, though, and in some ways I understand it. So I'm not dogging any federal agency or anything, nor any law enforcement agency. It is a hard sell to your bosses from those agencies when you go in and say you want to investigate anything that considers himself religious because of obvious reasons. So I get that, but they have done it before, that's for sure. And I do think I have no idea if they will the ramp, but I do think there's a decent chance in it, especially considering there's going to be God knows how many victims now. Yeah, so this Jamie guy, I think. Hold on. I think we can pull up some of that Jamie guy's post or comments, and the ones that know what I'm talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is allegedly a pastor for the ramp, correct? I don't want to show y'all what this guy said. Sorry, I got sidetracked. It always happens when I'm going through trying to find something. Okay, let me see. There's been so much going on lately. I am not as organized as normally, not even close, and it's driving me insane. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. I didn't realize he was making those comments under my post until just now. I didn't even look at that. Oh, he is okay, so let me correct myself. This guy we're about to talk about is a former pastor, but not at the ramp. He has attended the rep for over 10 years, though. Okay. Thank you, Melissa. It would take a long time for me to get these in order, so we're just going to read them and just understand they're not necessarily in order. But I was running a little behind tonight because I wanted to have all this stuff ready, but I was in a meeting this evening and it went way, way over. So this Jamie Welch is who we're talking about. I want you to look at this comment. And so he's a member of the cult and allegedly a former pastor. And I'm not going to read that out loud. But it says, "Come say that to my face." And then a very derogatory F word. But wait, there's more. There's a lot more. So right here, he says, "You literally think you're the only one who knows everything that happens there, and you can't accept the fact that we all know. It's old news what happened to Casey and Lindsay," and that is, he is talking about Karen's daughter and son-in-law, her, not Samuel, but the other daughter and son-in-law, leaving seriously, shut up, and go get saved. This guy's telling someone to go get saved. And in the very next sentence, "You're making yourself look even more stupid with your obsession with me. It's weird." No, she doesn't have an obsession with you. We just are calling out child predators. And unfortunately, a lot of them have issues with that. They don't like it at all. And so this Jamie guy is calling this Jennifer Maldonado, says you are a great representative of Satan. Again, because she's one of the ones speaking out against the child predators. That's all we're doing. And this is only the second time ever of me calling out child predators that I've gotten pushback. And if you would have told me 6 months ago or a year ago at this point, if you'd have said, hey, if you start calling out child predators, you're going to get pushback and people are going, like, you're going to get attacked. I would have said, no, nobody likes child predators. Nobody's going to take up for child predators. They were right and I was wrong. Which still just blows my mind. There's more, but y'all kind of get the point. That's the kind of people we're talking about, though. It's the exact same people that are saying, we're evil, we're Satan. You saw it right there. And we're trying to attack God's anointed. He called me a kid and a boy. I wish I was. Not really. I don't want to go back in years, but yeah, you're exactly correct, Steve. Child predators take up for child predators. You'll never convince me otherwise. And yes, Patty, you are correct. Hamilton Police Department is not involved in this matter. Any reports or concerns related to this should be directed to ALEA SBI, the State Bureau of Investigations, and that is the investigating agency. Now, I'm just now starting to dig into the Hamilton Police Department. I'm not going to say they're corrupt or anything like that because I haven't seen anything like that yet. Hopefully I don't find anything. I'm frustrated with them because of how long this has been going on in their city and they hadn't done anything about it. But I'm going to blame that on just poor training, poor experience, or something like that versus corruption. I do know people have thrown around allegations of, well, Karen Wheaton's paying them off. I have not, obviously, at this point, not seen any proof of that. And unless I see proof of that, I'm not going to say that because that may very well not be true at all. But I do know when I can go up there right now, and we have, and I can pull random people walking down the street, walking in front of Walmart, walking in front of Tractor Supply, walking in a gas station, and I can say, do you live here in Hamilton? Are you local? Yes. What do you know about the ramp? Oh, it's a cult. It's a cult. They abuse kids there. Been going on for years. We've all known it for years. So when that many people in your community knew it's been going on for years, how did the police department not? That concerns me. Because if that's just hearsay, but you continue to hear it from numerous people as a law enforcement agency, you should start investigating that. That's literally your job. Unfortunately, there are some, not most, but there are some law enforcement agencies that are purely reactive. And they are not going to go out and be proactive at all, which means they're simply going to sit there, and unless someone comes and makes a report, they're not going to be looking at anything or investigating anything. That is not the way you're supposed to do it. Law enforcement agencies should be more proactive than reactive, and if they were, crime would be a lot better. Now, again, some agencies are very proactive. The two big agencies I've worked for are very proactive. But unfortunately, some, Walker County Sheriff's Office, for instance, when Nick Smith was asked, why has Joey Vick, the county coroner, not been investigated, considering over a year ago, a victim spoke out publicly and said Joey Vick did very bad things to them when they were a child in his coroner's office. And Nick Smith said, we can't do anything unless someone comes to file, unless a victim files a report. If you're in law enforcement and you think that, get out of law enforcement. If you're a leader in law enforcement and you think that, go turn in your badge right now. One of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard from a law enforcement official. Literally. Because no, that's not the way you do things. This is the same sheriff that says they've been proactive against drugs. No, you haven't. But yeah, and Donna, that's what I'm saying. I am frustrated with the Hamilton Police Department, at least their leaders, because they've had to been just turning a blind eye to what's going on over there, and I don't like that. Carolyn, I have seen that. There was a mayor of a small town in Georgia that fired his entire police department. I've got the articles and stuff. I haven't had time to look into it yet, but I'm going to. Christy said the first time I ever came into contact with Nick Smith, he gave my friend a baggie. You were far from the first to tell me that. But obviously, at least prior to Nick Smith getting in law enforcement, he apparently was around the drug world a lot. And I've heard that from more people than I could ever count. There's no way that's not true at this point. There's no way. I think Christy is saying he was at Cordova then when he did that. Yeah, that's not surprising. But, and it may have been last night, back to the ramp, someone asked, why would Karen Wheaton plant this cult? Why Hamilton, Alabama? That's exactly where you would do that. and for a few reasons. I had this exact same. I just realized this. I had this exact same conversation today with someone when we were talking about the cartels. We were in deep conversation about the cartels, and they literally operate the same way in this sense. They don't go sit up in the middle of some big city. They find a rural town in small town America where there's not a ton of people, where there's not many law enforcement at all, and the law enforcement that is there doesn't have a lot of experience, and that's not their fault. It's just the way it is. And this doesn't speak for every small agency, but a lot of small agencies, they're not well trained either. These people know that. That's the reason they set up in these towns. They set up somewhere where they can operate without having to worry about law enforcement. No better place than a very small town in Alabama to do that. And another thing that a lot of very small towns and small counties in this country have in common is the law enforcement they do have are not paid well. That is a big problem. Law enforcement officers, this goes for any government employee. It's rare that they become corrupt because they just want to be corrupt. They become corrupt because they need money. Like every big like the few FBI agents that have been caught for treason, for selling secrets to other countries, they weren't doing that because they hated America. They did it because they got in debt and they needed the money. That's why your credit report is one of the number one things that will get you, that will either stop your security clearance or get your security clearance kicked. Number one by far. If you've got a bankruptcy, you're not getting a security clearance. It's not happening. If you're behind on your bills at that time, you're not getting a security clearance because that's the driving force. So, and please understand, I'm not accusing any Hamilton police officer of being corrupt or accepting money from Karen Wheaton. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, in general, that is exactly why the cartels and other criminal organizations, such as this cult, go to small places because it is a lot easier to pay off the local officials and law enforcement. If you have a police officer making $18 an hour and they're about to lose their house is about to be foreclosed on, their car just got repoed, and you go to them and you offer them $30,000 in cash to do something for you, the chances of them not is slim to none. They're probably going to take it. Again, that's why it's so important that you should pay your law enforcement. If a police officer is making $90,000 a year, chances of them taking money like that, slim to none. It's probably not going to happen. If they're making 30, it would be extremely hard for any of them to turn it down. That's just a fact. Again, I am not even trying to imply that's happening in Hamilton, because unless I see any evidence of that, I'm not going to say that. I know some people are saying that, but again, I'm not quick to do that. I have to see something. But I am saying that is part of the reason why you would sit up in a town like that. But again, that's exactly why. That's where the cartels set up. The cartels are not operating out of big cities and things like. Do they have presence in big cities? Absolutely. Do they move stuff in big cities? Yes. Their main hubs are not in big cities. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're in small town Alabama. If you've been following me for a while, you know, you've heard me say there is literally a huge cartel presence in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. It's there. I would bet anything, and there used to be, I know for a fact there used to be a cartel presence in Walker County. I can't say that now. That was close to 10 years ago now. But more than likely there is. If I was operating a criminal organization right now, hands down, I'd move to Walker County. If I think like that, other people do too. Cults, and again, criminal organizations, they don't just throw a dart at a map and go, okay, that's where we're going to go sit up. No, they do their research. Now, Karen grew up in Hamilton, so she already had some influence there. She was somewhat famous. And if you're famous in a small town, most people are going to trust you there. Most people are going to like you and want to be around you. She knew that. And another thing she already did is when she first moved back and started setting this ministry up, she went and she recruited Samuel Bentley. And you've heard me say it before. That's what a good leader does. If a good leader comes into, whether you're a new CEO, you're an outside hire, and you come in and take over a company, a business, an organization, a law enforcement agency, a church, whatever it may be, whether it be criminal or legit. If you're a good leader, you know, I can't just come in here and start ordering people around and expect them to respect me and follow me. That's not going to happen. The first thing I'm going to do when I get there is immediately find out who are the influential people, who are the gatekeepers here. And every organization has them. Every town has them. Who is that person that everybody likes, that everybody trusts, that Brandy was saying this on her video, a pillar of the community, per se. She went and she recruited Samuel Bentley. His father was the judge. That's a big deal in a small town. Everybody knew him. All that. She recruited him. She brought him in. And then she let him do the rest of the recruiting. That's what you do. That's the way you do it. She put out a new video. She put out a new video this week claiming she's standing on the side of truth, talking about God fighting for her. Even though she has not put out a video saying pray for these victims. accepting any responsibility. Hey, I was the leader of this, and this happened under my leadership. Therefore, I'm stepping down. That's what a good leader would do. If I'm leading any organization and I find out children have been those things have been being done to them in my organization for the last 20 years, and at least 5 people on my staff at one point has done these things, I wasn't doing my job. And it's time for me to step down. It's time for me to go. Same thing I've said about Nick Smith. 30% of your agency has been federally indicted, dude. You were not a good leader. Step down. Go. Same thing goes for Karen Wheaton. I would bet everything I have that there are probably hundreds of victims from the ramp at this point. Karen Wheaton, hundreds of children, at least, have had their innocence completely taken away from them, horrible things done to them under your leadership. That's all I need to know. For me, for them to step down, it's irrelevant if they knew about it or not. Now, criminally, it's relevant. But if you didn't know about it, guess what? You're a horrible leader. If you did, you're a horrible leader. That's the way it is. That's part of being a leader. You are responsible for everything that happens in your organization. And when it's happening at that rate, you got to go because you were not doing a good job. Well, Karen Wheaton and Nick Smith are very similar. All these people fit a profile. And most of you have heard me go over that profile. All these people fit that same profile. They're very narcissistic. That's the main thing. So they literally only care about themselves. And when push comes to shove, they are only going to take care of themselves. Money is a big driving force for them. And they don't care. They do not care who gets hurt in their path. All they care about is being wealthy and success. If a man has an indictment, how is he allowed to run for anything? Explain that to me. The Constitution, the amendments to the Constitution is what allows them. There's just nowhere in the Constitution that says you can't. And like for Alabama, there's nowhere in the Alabama state constitution that says you can't. And again, federal constitution, there's not. And in Alabama, well, in a lot of states, but definitely Alabama, sheriffs have a lot of power. And as we've seen, and this is, I understand I piss off every sheriff, even there's at least one sheriff that's what I consider one of my best friends. There's a couple others I would consider a friend. I know this pisses them off too, but this is the fact. They have zero oversight. No elected official should have zero oversight. But sheriffs in Alabama have zero oversight. They claim that they police themselves. Well, history has shown us they do a piss poor job at that. So that's BS. And if you're a good sheriff and a good person, which most are, most sheriffs in Alabama are good at what they do. They're good people. They do the right thing. Then you shouldn't mind oversight. To a point, for sure. But there should be some type of oversight. There's not. The state technically is not even allowed to go into a county and investigate anything unless they're invited by the sheriff of that county. Well, that becomes a problem when the sheriff is part of the corruption. And we've seen that a few times. That's why it always has to be the feds. That should change. But again, don't misunderstand me. Most sheriffs in this state are not corrupt at all. Most are really good people, intelligent. They do a good job, and they do the right thing. Lisa said, so is that why Damon Thompson stepped away from the ramp? I don't know that I'm familiar with that name. Are we familiar with that name, team? Oh, thank you, Christy, for bringing that back up. So Nick Smith's indictment hearing is May the 13th. Well, that's coming up soon. Yes, Monica, you are. I'll give you a pass this time. Just don't let it happen again. No, I'm telling Nick Smith and Ralph Williams are going to lose their APO certification. That's why it kills me seeing these people talk about Jason Akins because he's not APOst. I'm like, the person you're campaigning for is literally about, he's not going to be APOst certified. And the difference is Jason Akins is going to be able to get his certification. When they pull Nick Smith's, it's gone. It ain't never coming back. If Karen Wheaton owns up to everything, she knows she will lose money. If she owned up to everything, she would spend most of the rest of her life in federal prison. And she knows that. On top of losing all of her money. Oh, Damon is the one that's in Mobile now. Okay, I kind of remember that now. There's so many branches to this tree. And right now, on my mind, in my daily research and investigations, I'm going from all the crazy stuff in Walker County to the ramp to the scientist stuff. Seems like there's something else. I guess that's it right now. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on right now. It's hard to keep it all straight. Damon left in 2012. Yeah, but Kentucky Monica is my favorite. She's been here longer. Okay, I'm about to send you that link. All right, let's do this. We're going to go. Go on a little commercial break, and we're going to have our guest come up with me. So they should be up after the commercial break here. Before you open your door, pause. Did you check the back seat? Meet Clever Ellie, a simple, affordable plug-in that helps you build the life-saving habit of checking your back seat every single time you exit your vehicle. Just plug it into your car's 12-volt socket. When you turn off the engine, Clever Ellie plays a clear voice reminder to check your back seat. With 10 varied voice messages in different tones, your brain doesn't tune it out. It keeps the reminder in your conscious awareness so the habit sticks. That is the main difference between this device and any others that do this same thing. Clever Ellie works with all modern cars that have a standard 12-volt socket. If your car keeps power on after shutdown, like when the radio stays on, no problem. Every order includes an easy-to-install door sensor that triggers the reminder as soon as the driver's door opens. No 12-volt socket? They've got you. You can use the compact USB adapter. And yes, Cleverly doubles as a practical car charger with both USB-A and USB-C ports and ongoing improvements in charging speeds. Other systems can be expensive, complex, require professional installation. Clever Ellie focuses on human habit formation using varied voice prompts to enhance your memory, not replace it. There are no fees, no subscriptions ever. They are not for profit, dedicated to child safety and awareness. Even if your car already has a reminder, you can still benefit or gift Cleverly to grandparents or anyone without a newer vehicle. Plug in peace of mind, build the habit, protect what matters. Get Clever Ellie today at cleverellie.com and join our mission to prevent hot car incidents. Use discount code DEREK, DEREK, to receive a free USB charging cable. Just click on the link listed in the video description and get your Clever Ellie today. Make sure to use discount code DEREK, DEREK, at checkout. Hey guys, you all know how health conscious I am. I haven't had a single carbonated drink in over 20 years because I'm extremely careful about what I put into my body. So when I tell you I'm partnering with Dubby, you know it's the real deal. I will never partner with any brand that I don't use myself. Now, Dubby is zero sugar, jitter free, crash free, no artificial dyes or colors, none of that garbage. Just clean energy that actually tastes incredible. I've been drinking it every day and I'm genuinely impressed. If you want to upgrade your energy too, use my code agent D Baker for 10% off. Link in bio. Go be better with me. If you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That way, you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone, and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching it on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action.
That'd probably help. Can you hear me, Derek?
All right, we are back. Just unmute it.
You know me
There you
so
go.
well.
We're back. We're going to have a special guest for a little bit. Monica Sweeney. If you have not listened to her new podcast she has out, you're missing out. It's great, and I'll let her tell you all about that. So I'll let her tell you about herself and that, and then we'll get back into our discussions. So go ahead, Monica.
Okay. Hey, thank you for having me on here. And I appreciate everybody. I'm feeling the love. I'm seeing um, the numbers are showing that everybody's listening. So yeah, I'm Monica Sweeney. I live up here in North Alabama, and when I say North Alabama, I can literally see Tennessee from my yard. Um, but I have a history in a lot of different roles. Previously, a transport officer for inmates, state of Alabama, through a contractor. I also am a corrections officer. But I have recently decided to start this podcast. It's been on my mind for nearly 18 years. A young lady that went, I knew her personally. So it's this, when I tell y'all this is real special to me, it's one thing when you listen to stories and read them, and I've always had a heart and a passion for people that go missing. But it's another thing if you knew them, if you talked to them 4 or 5 times a week. The way I knew Jennifer was her little boy played baseball for me. I was a baseball coach for 8 years, and her little boy was on my team. And the summer of let's see, it was July the 12th, 2008, she went missing. So I had seen her maybe a week before, how you just generally run into somebody in the store. And so the last time I seen her, we were, you just get close to the people that you, when you're, well, I call them my ball family. So this podcast, Tom Tells All, it was about, I said 3 years, but it's actually a little more than that. But it was just something that we had thought about when podcasts first started becoming a big thing. It was, the idea was bounced around, and there was uh, a case in Georgia. If you guys are not familiar, Tara Grinstead, and law enforcement there will tell you that that case was solved only because of that podcast. It had went cold for around 20 years, same as this one. And this guy just got bored during COVID and started a podcast about that. And, tips started coming in. And speaking of that, I think I've shared this with you before, Derek. I have been overwhelmed, and you know me already. I pray about everything I do, and this podcast has been prayed over and thought about and pondered on. And the first week we were into it, I started getting messages. People that will talk to a podcast host before they might would make that call to an investigator. So I'm real happy so far. We need to my goal is for somebody to have something significant between now and July. July will be 18 years. So we've had a lot of good feedback, a lot of good support. People, willing to talk to me now that, may or may not been mothers or fathers 18 years ago, and now they've got children. So it hits them a little differently here in the story. Just basically, we wanted to revamp the story. We're not law enforcement. We're not police investigators, but I am doing some investigative journalism on it and having some real good results so far. Very blessed.
Awesome. And tell everybody where they can find your podcast.
Yeah. So definitely Spotify, Apple Podcasts, but we're on every platform, anywhere that you listen to podcasts and do your podcast listening. We are on that. We I don't think we're on YouTube yet. My editor is on vacation this week, so but the person that handles that, and I should know that, but I do not think we're on YouTube yet. But that may be coming. Don't hold me to that. But we're like I said, this in my wildest dreams, if you would have told me that this was going to be as successful the first month, I'm I don't know I don't even know the word for it. And if you know me, that's a big deal because I got words for everything. But um, I'm just so overwhelmed and so uh, just thankful just really, really thankful and grateful that everybody is real positive about it. I did want to tell you, it being, we had talked about this, a week or so ago, it being Mother's Day weekend, it really hits me different when I think about Jennifer's mother or Jennifer's children. Um, so I don't know if you guys, are believers, and I think most of you are, just say a special prayer for her daughter this weekend. The last couple weeks, talking about all of this and bring it. She was only 10 years old and now she's 28. So, bringing up a lot of memories and things that, she may not thought about in a long time. It's a little overwhelming. And, as it is for her mother and father, her parents are still living. They're in their 80s. And, my heart goes out to them, sitting down, talking with them. I feel really close to them. And again, uh, you know, unless you went through this, you know, as morbid as it sounds, having a loved one that's passed away and you know it, and you can bury them and start the grieving process, but them being missing, you don't want to let you feel guilty to let your brain 100% believe that they're passed away, even though we know in our heart that Jennifer's not with us. Anybody that knows her knows that she wouldn't have left her kids like that. So, but reality is you don't want to give up that hope. So, right now you've got a mother, and unfortunately, Jennifer's mother and father, they had two children, and they are both, well, one's missing, Jennifer's missing, and their son has passed away as well. So,
Mm.
just that's just a fraction of their life in reality for them. So, you guys remember them, Sam and Shirley. Just that'd mean a lot to me if you guys would say a special prayer for them being Mother's Day weekend.
Absolutely. But and I'm not just saying this to you all because Monica's on here and a friend of mine. It's legit, and anybody that's listened to it so far will attest to this. It is legit a great podcast. I'm very impressed, and she has done some great interviews. She has interviewed Jennifer's sister and
It's her
Jennifer's.
daughter.
I'm sorry, her daughter. She has interviewed her daughter and her mother and father. And is there anybody else? Just is that it?
Yeah, there's been some that have been anonymous, but we have interviewed, and I don't want to be, I kind of want to give y'all a little teaser about it, but this I'm trying to think about what I say here. So far, we've interviewed. When I say our Ball family, I'm talking about, like I said, if your kids are involved in band or any kind of extracurricular, dance, band, any of that, but especially baseball and softball. You know that family, you know that heart. You're with each other 4 or 5 times a week at the least. And Jennifer never missed a practice or a game, so you get close to them. And I've interviewed some of the Ball family. Some have been anonymous, but what I was going to say with the teaser, the next episode coming out, we've actually interviewed a person that worked with one of her family members. I'll leave it at that. And they had some things to say. So
Awesome. And if anyone has any information about that case, what should they do?
yeah, so go to Tom Tells All, and in there is a link. There's an email that you can email, and you can also you can contact me directly. I'm on Facebook. Message me if you know I was giving out my number and I was advised not to do that. I don't know why, because I've had the same number for 25 years, literally. But you're welcome to email me, get a hold of me on Messenger. You can email that email that's in Tom Tells All. But the Madison County Sheriff's Office in Madison, Alabama is Madison County. I'm sorry. She was from Harvest, Alabama, and you can get a hold of Madison County Sheriff's Office. I'm not 100% sure what detective is over the case at this time. I think there's been um, some people got promoted. You know how that goes, you being in law enforcement yourself.
Some
But
of them are. Remind us, what's the name of the podcast?
Time Tells All.
So that's the name of the podcast.
Yes. Time Tells All is the name of the podcast,
And you can find
and
it
you
on
can go
Spotify, Apple Podcast.
anywhere. It's on every platform. We've got it out there. We're the most people are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts,
Yeah.
but anywhere you listen to podcasts,
And
it's
and
there.
and right now it's just audio. No,
It
no.
is,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
no video.
Yeah.
I had and I after getting ready for this. By the way, this is my very first appearance like this, so I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm really nervous. So, but it's for a good cause, so I agreed to it.
It'll it's completely normal to
You
be
say
nervous
that.
at first, but at some point you just forget that you're even
Well,
on and you're just yourself,
I'm sure.
which is not
Like
always
I
the
don't know
best,
where
but
to look, but
um
if you know me, it's weird that I'm doing this because everybody that knows me expected me to do like some kind of stand up comedy or something like that. So to be doing something so sincere and so
so can you
something
tell
that's
us some
such
jokes?
a I can. What you want to hear? I'm one thing about me. I think some of your viewers that I'll be in those comments making jokes, cracking jokes. So
Hey, mods
yeah,
on TikTok.
do
Y'all,
what?
I'm talking to my mods, my team on TikTok.
Oh,
Y'all see what I'm seeing there to block?
I almost
So
wore.
somebody trying to
I
scam.
had. Go ahead.
There was just somebody trying to scam.
I um I had a shirt specially made, but I decided to not do you dirty like that. But I had a T-shirt made that said "Butta Hoochie" on it. So, but I didn't do that to you tonight.
And that comes from the we were on one of my lives when we were talking about the ramp and Hamilton, and there is a local like creek.
Butta Hatchie.
Is that how you pronounce it?
But yeah, it's the Butta Hatchie.
Buttahatchee, and I was calling it the Buttahoochie. So, and she hasn't let me live that down.
Oh, it'll forever be Butta Hoochie.
But
They may as well change that name.
I did die out laughing when I was in Hamilton. Was it last week? One day last week, and I drove over it and I saw the sign and I started laughing. My favorite Monica said all the jokes she knows are dirty. So
No, no, that's totally not true.
that no,
Totally not true.
the other Monica was saying that.
Oh, the favorite Monica. My bad. Okay. No, I thought you meant your favorite thing that was said. Okay, good deal. Yeah, it must be a Monica thing because I do know those two. But since my daddy's a preacher, I'm not going to say the ones on live television.
I dated a preacher's daughter in high school. You're not fooling
Don't
me.
start.
Not
Don't
fooling
start.
me.
Don't start. They
No,
didn't have the
she
sweet
was a good
daddy I
person.
did.
She's a good person though.
Yeah. And I hope I'm not out of line saying this because this has absolutely nothing to do with Time Tells All. But as I listen to your podcast, I mean, yeah, to your show and everything live, you know, and I'm not trying to misspeak or put words in other people's mouths, but I have some people in my family and friends that are really devout, like true good Christian people. And I'm barely a Christian. Like I tell people, I know where I'm going when I die. I've accepted Jesus. I know where I'm going. I'm going to be in a good bit of trouble when I get there though, but I know where I'm going. But I know people who live, really well, and with all this going on, it's bothered me, and I've talked to you about it, I think, but I have asked them. I'm like, how would you handle this? Because I kind of feel like I already knew, and we're I will ever forget this. What this person said to me, you know, in their organization, I said, put yourself in this. If some of this stuff that's happening with the ramp and all that was brought to your attention, how would you handle this as a leader and as a director of a ministry? And I love what they said. He said, well, you're only responsible for what you know. If someone comes to you and tells you this, okay, right this minute, now you're responsible moving forward, this moment moving forward. You can't hold what happened 20 years ago. But that's the biggest problem that I have is, you know, you already know that I have spoke with people there because I've worked in and around, and I took it upon myself to start doing some digging on my own. And like you said, everywhere you go, people will tell you, you just barely mention it, and they'll say, "Oh, you mean that cult?"
Yep.
It really, it's really ridiculous that that is a known thing there. And unfortunately, I was waiting to have a big opinion on it, but it saddens my heart to think about because I'm not going to give you a hard time since you have blessed me with letting me come on here and promote my podcast. But us old people who remember when Karen Wheaton first came out, um, she was a big deal. She was, truly doing good. I don't, like I said, I won't go into all that, but I agree. Something happened. There was a breakdown somewhere, and it's unfortunate. And as a Christian, I do pray for her to do the right thing, and I unfortunately believe that the right things haven't been done since it was brought to their attention. So that's all I'll say about that right now. But
Yep.
I
No, no,
appreciate you doing the job you're doing
for
and your
sure.
team.
For sure. And this is all, what I'm about to say is obviously speculation on my part, but from the amount of people I've interviewed in relation to her and people that have known her for a very long time, it kind of seems to me like when she first got in the into ministry, when she was singing and all that stuff, that she was doing well and as far as
Mhm.
morally. I think so. What I think happened, and I've seen this before, she started getting I think she had some bad uh, mentors. Hands
Oh,
down,
no doubt. Yeah.
a bad mentor will throw you off track. You have to be extremely careful about who you let mentor you. Now, everybody needs a mentor, everyone, but you got to be careful with picking them and be very picky. But I think she had those, and I think they put some of these seeds in her brain. And then when she got a taste of the money, that was it. And it's extremely clear now that's all she cares about. And she is building an empire, and that's nothing else is she's not going to let anything stand in her way of that. And that it's again, I could be wrong. She could have been, maybe she was evil the whole time, but it just doesn't seem like that was the
No,
case. But
I
again,
don't think so. I really
uh,
don't think so, Derek. Because, like
what
you said, I was there during the time she was up and coming. She was a little ahead of my time, but I really believe that, and the thing about it is the devil doesn't care how he gets you, and he don't care. He just needs a little bit of you to corrupt you. So I think it should be used as a lesson for all of us. With you, with what you're doing, your organization, with me just starting out in this. I hope and pray that I always stay grounded and stay humble.
you've
That is
got
the
to keep
thing.
people in your life that will hold you accountable.
Correct. I agree.
Everyone needs that because
Yeah.
we are all dangerous without that.
Yep. Yep. And pray for one another.
You
Lift
have
each
to
other up.
have one of the most important things that I'll probably ever say. You have to have someone in your life that you can tell everything to. And most of the time, that's not going to be a
Mhm.
family member because there's some embarrassing things and things like that. But you better have
Right.
someone that you feel comfortable enough with that you can tell everything to. That way, that person can hold you accountable for things. For a lot of people, that's a therapist, psychiatrist. Those some people it's a friend. Some people it is a family member. But whoever, if you're sitting there right now and there is anything that you have done in your life or doing right now that nobody knows, you better fix that.
I agree.
Um,
Totally agree.
You just
Well, even the Bible says, "Confess your sins one to another," and I agree with that 100%. You
Laura
get in
said
dangerous territory when you are doing stuff in secret all by yourself like that. Um, Bad things can happen.
absolutely. Laura said they
Yeah.
wear hoochie daddy shorts down there on the Buttahoochie.
Yeah. I'd pay good money to see you go down there with some hoochie daddy shorts, Derek.
Now, is that the same creek that runs through her property? Does anybody know?
I don't know that. Don't get me lying.
Because she has
It's not
literally
far from it. It's
she
not
has
far from
literally
it.
installed got a dam installed on the creek in the creek on her property.
Oh, Lord.
Um,
Yeah. I won't, again, tying back to, this is so ironic, and you and I already know this with, my podcast. Um, we've had some, and it's on, if you listen to the
crossover,
episodes, I'm sorry.
some crossover.
Yes, isn't that weird? But yeah, there's been some tips that are leading to Hamilton, so that'll be really interesting. Um, how we've heard all our lives God works in mysterious ways. So wouldn't that be something if that ends up being something? And I will say now, there may be a little bit of truth into that one. You and I haven't had time to talk in depth about that, but with what I've got going on with some leads, um, there may be a little bit of truth into that. So that may be coming in another episode in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope it does. Hey, I really appreciate y'all. Again, go to Tom Tells All, listen to all of them, tell everybody else about it. If there's people out there, there may be somebody that hears this. If you know anything, like the rest of the people have said, I pray for the people. And if you hear the daughter, I'm gonna try to put that link in there. The daughter at the 10-year mark when Jennifer was missing for 10 years, we had a vigil, candlelight memorial thing, and they had her. Oh gosh, the word left me. They had where they have you legally dead when you're missing for whatever reason.
Hmm.
So declared legally dead. But they had a memorial and everything at the 10-year mark, and to hear Caitlin, her daughter, speaking, but the persons who are responsible for knowing where she's at, and I in my heart, I don't have proof of this, but this is my opinion. I believe that more than one person knows where she's at, and at this point, it is not about justice. The family has forgiven you. I believe that growing up in the South, at one point in time, anybody that was involved has been under the word and knows right from wrong. And I'd like to ask that, you know, do the right thing. Do this for Caitlin, for her son, for her mom and dad, and the rest of the family. I really believe that it's just time to get that off of your shoulders. That has to be a big, heavy burden.
Oh yeah.
Um, I hate to sound like I'm not feeling empathy or anything for the person that done this, but you know, I do think about that, and I think, I've done things wrong in my life before, and when you finally can get it off your chest, it just feels like, the weight of the world's off of you. So, um, the family is they're Christian people, and her children are, and like I said, they have publicly announced that, this is not about justice. It's just about being able to bring Jennifer home and bury her and start the grieving process. Because I'd never thought about this, but if you don't have time, if you don't, if your person that you love is just missing,
It's
you
horrible.
can't start, yeah, you can't start the grieving process because you're still holding hope that maybe they are out there and they're just missing, but
Yeah,
he's not.
anyone that has never had to go through that, you don't realize. And I mean, I haven't had to go through that, thankfully, as far as a family member or friend, but I've worked with families that have. Um,
Mhm.
it's horrible. The ones that everyone I've talked to about that's gone through both, that's lost a lot. I mean, we've all probably lost a loved one to, that they passed. They will, every one of them say missing is way worse because you
Oh,
just don't there's no closure.
right. It's just
And
it's like
I could not imagine anything worse. And that's one thing that frustrates me so bad, so much about Walker County with all the missing persons cases, and to hear Nick Smith throw the numbers around like they're nothing. These are human beings. They all have families. They have brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, mother, fathers, aunts, uncles, friends. They're not just, when you say, well, it's just been 4 since I've been in office. What do you mean just 4?
mm-mm.
That affects a ton of people. Just one affects a bunch of people. As I've said, when I work missing persons, I have one that's never been solved. And that's literally the only case that I worked in my entire career that I think about every single day.
I
And I still keep in touch with that family, and it sucks. And there's nothing I can say or do for them that would make them feel better. And I know that. And I would give anything if I could give them closure. And hopefully one
you
day I
know,
can, but it's horrible. And like I said, the people that have never been through that, you, it's impossible for you to fully understand. But the people who have will tell you it's just because you don't know. And for most, in the back of their mind, they still, human nature, want to believe they are alive, no matter how long it's been. And so again,
that's right.
they're just not getting full closure. And it's a, my God, I could, you're
Well,
evil if you
you
do that
know,
to somebody, for sure.
uh, I'm gonna try my best to say this without crying myself and without making you cry. But the hardest part about this, and even though we thought about it and prayed on it and all this for all these years now, and finally started a month ago this week, the part that I didn't allow for is, the conversations that you have with the loved ones. And I did okay, and y'all are here, and I don't want to mess it up for some of you who haven't heard. But when her daddy is talking, and he says, "I looked everywhere and I could think to look," and as a father, think about that. You want to protect, you want to provide, and when her sweet, sweet daddy, he said, "I looked everywhere I could think to look," and he's still looking, and that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me, I've had people ask me, they call me Sweeney, by the way. You know, I've had phone calls and people are like, "Sweeney, are you not scared?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm not," because
By
if
the
you know
way,
me, you know I'm not.
if you call Monica, I'll tell you how she answers the phone. It's not hello, hey, she's Sweeney. Not even a hello, nothing. Sweeney every time.
Hello, hello, Derek. Well, I actually say this is Sweeney, but you must have missed the this is
Nah, you
part.
don't either. You say Sweeney.
Well, I appreciate y'all and I appreciate your listeners and thank y'all so much. I've actually had uh, several people that have friended me personally on Facebook, not just followed the podcast, that are your viewers. So I am very thankful. And like I said, if any of y'all have connections to North Alabama here, um, you know, pray about this. First of all, pray that my goal and my dream is for Jennifer to be found by this July, and let her family, her children deserve to be able to, you know, move forward and not necessarily, forget about it, but start the grieving process and put all this, start putting it as a, something that's happened, not something that's happening. Um, so if you know
And
anybody in this area, yeah,
how old was her daughter when she went missing? The one you interviewed?
10. Well, the one I interviewed, so she had three children. Um, and unfortunately, and that was another thing. That is when I 100% knew that Jennifer is deceased. She had a daughter, Brittany, that passed away at 17, and she was 12 or 13. I think there's 3 years difference. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure. So she had three stair steps. The little boy that was my ball player, he was the baby, and or he is the baby. And then Caitlin is her middle child, and she was 10 years old. Yeah.
And I'm going to give a little bit away of the first episode, but
Mm.
it's one part that hit me so hard. Imagine, and she talks about this when Monica interviews her. Imagine being 10 years old and you went and stayed because she went and stayed at her grandparents.
Mm.
The kids went and stayed at
Mm-mm-mm.
their grandparents uh, the night before, said bye to their mom. Imagine being 10 years old, the next day waking up and going, okay, I'm going back home. And you go back and you have never seen your mom again. I mean,
Yeah. So
that's
Derek, this is
heartbreaking.
this it is heartbreaking, and that part. Um, Thanks for making me about to cry again because
Sorry.
this is the reality of it. So you're 10 years old, your meemaw comes to pick you up, and as you pull out of the driveway, you tell her your meemaw, we can't leave mama, you know, and me, oh man, meemaw turns around and asks Caitlin, well, do you want to stay here with her? And she said, no, I'll just go home. I'll go with you. And that was the last time she saw her mama. That child's carried that all these
Mm.
years. You know, just from what I just said, you can imagine. I know for me, us women are born with guilt. So I know what the child has went through. She's asked herself, what if I'd have stayed? What if I'd have stayed at home with mama? But what little kid don't want to go to grandma's?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's definitely, I understand her feeling that way, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely not her fault
Right.
whatsoever.
Oh, for sure. No, we
Um,
know that. But
but
that's why I think it's
it's just,
good.
well, it was heartbreaking to hear her say that.
Mm-hmm.
And because that'll really hit home to you being 10 years. I mean, I can't imagine. Now, I was raised by my grandparents, so I willfully and happily left my birth parents when I did. And I was 8 then. I didn't want anything to do with them. Um,
That's season 2 of my podcast.
but my like I can't imagine that happening to one of my grandparents. Like me going to a friend's house
Mm,
or something one night and then coming back and never seeing one of them again and not still to this day not know. Like I can't imagine that. And so that really hit
right.
home with me when I heard her say that. It's just, again, somebody out there knows something.
Yeah.
And one way you could make the situation a little better is to just tell what you know. That's it. That's all you got to do.
And
And
and and if you don't feel comfortable telling it, get a hold of me. If you know, I call me. You get a hold of me. I'm on social media. I will I promise you, you get a hold of me and tell me you want to talk about this, you give me a number, I'll call you. Um, you know, I can give you I would say I'd give you a PO box, but I'm nervous right now and I can't think of the zip code for my new PO box. uh, But if somebody wants that, I'm gonna be posting that on the link on the podcast as well. If somebody wants to handwrite something, people don't handwrite anything anymore. But again, if you wanna, you don't have to. You can call me. You can block your number and call me,
If
and give me
if you
whatever.
just, and I think this is the point she's getting at. If you know where she is and you want to remain anonymous, there are ways you can do that. Just get
Hmm.
word passed to where she is, whether it be anonymous email, phone call, whatever. Because again, that would help the family so much and give them some closure. And I mean, again, put yourself in their shoes. Have some empathy
Hmm.
for them and put yourself in their shoes. And what would you want? What would you want the person or persons that know something? What would you want them to do? You would want them to tell somebody. It's been too long. So again, and
Right.
somebody knows something.
And Derek, I don't know. I haven't mentioned this yet, but there is. I was reminded halfway through this. There is a reward out there. Um, $15,000 would it would come in
Do you
handy
know?
right
Do
about
you know if
now.
that's through Crime Stoppers?
I don't know. I know that the governor had done some, and I know the family had done some, but I don't know if it's through
If
Crime
it is
Stoppers.
through
So,
Crime Stoppers, because personal experience when I was in investigations and dealing with them, and you want to remain anonymous, you will remain anonymous, and you'll get your money. 100%. Like
correct.
if you give the information that
Yeah,
solves the case, you will get your money, and you will 100% remain anonymous, no matter how many federal judges write search warrants for who you are, or anything. Crime Stoppers will not release that information. Like that's not a trick. I'm telling you. There's a lot of people going to attest to it. You will get paid, and nobody will ever know who you are. So keep that in mind with Crime Stoppers. I mean, they really, when they say you can remain anonymous, they mean it, no matter what.
correct. Correct. And I'll even say this, if you don't want to go through Crime Stoppers and you just want to get a hold of me or some of my team, if you get a hold of me and your tip leads to, you know, whatever solves this case, because this is an open investigation, um, I'll make sure, even if I have to pass it on, I'll make sure that you get your reward money. Like I said, at this point, her daughter, you know, just begs whoever knows where she's at, and somebody does, and hopefully somebody listening to this will know where she's at. You know,
Somebody
you've
knows.
heard it all before. Yeah,
Somebody knows.
and I think about this too, Derek. Back then, people had different friend circles. If you even if you think of the slightest, least little thing, there have been things solved. There have been cases solved by somebody calling in saying, "This may not be nothing, but tell me that. T- Pass that on."
It could be
Because
it could be the missing piece of the puzzle that puts it together. You never know, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. So,
Yeah,
it, it re-
Juliana said yes. Crime Stoppers gives you a code, no name. You pick up cash at a bank under a code, and that's exactly how it works.
yeah,
So
I, I knew it was something like that. I wasn't sure. Thank you for bringing that up because I'll be putting that on. I'm going to have a little section on the podcast as well about the reward and how they can do that too. So that'll be good. I'll do
awesome.
that. But um, there's people now that have. I mean, like I said, 18 years ago, you know, some people didn't even have children and or grandchildren. And I think now, there's people that's got little girls now, people that's got daughters now, granddaughters. Um, I
And I'll tell
I
you
just
this.
believe
I'll tell you this. Speaking from experience, once you have a little girl, it'll change the way you see the world, and it will change the way you think about females. I mean, for me anyway, it just changed everything for me. I mean, it will. And so, like she's saying, if you didn't have kids then, but now you do, think about that.
right. And I don't know why, but you know me well enough to know if I get something in my gut to say and it keeps coming back over and over. I just want to say this, to the person or persons, you know, we make mistakes. And I personally don't believe that what happened to Jennifer was a planned out thing. I do think it was a mistake. I don't think that that person is a terrible, horrible human being. I think they made a mistake. And I think that if they come forward, they'll find forgiveness and grace like they've never known it before. And they'll have just a unimaginable comfort getting that off of their chest. They would have to, I've known people, I work in corrections, have worked in corrections, and, uh, in talking over the years with some of the inmates, some of them have described that feeling, and I'm sure you've had them talk to you about it before. Once you finally can just get that thing off of your
Oh yeah.
heart and mind, it's, you know, it's just a feeling like you can't explain. So I'll just,
Thomas, 2008. She went missing in 2008 in
July,
Madison County, Alabama.
yeah, Harvest, Alabama, Madison County, yeah. And yeah, if anybody knows anything whatsoever, uh, please, 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 uh, you know, I'm like I've heard Derek say this before. I have the same stance on that. I will not rat you out to nobody because I understand. Like I said, I've had people contact me and ask me, um, Sweeney, are you not a little fearful? No, I'm not. I know what kind of people, for some of you who have not listened yet, I'll go on and tell you, Jennifer used drugs, but there was more to her than being a drug addict. Um,
Of course.
not taken up for, but when you run in that world, you 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 don't have friends, and that's something that if nothing else can be used about this, when you're living in that world and you're in the thick of it, those people, they're not your friends. Clearly, they're not your friends. So, um, but there were some people. The point what I was making is there's some people that, were attached in that circle during that time, people that she knew that may not been nefarious people. Again, those people, they're some of them are just victim of circumstance. Some of them were just raised up in the drug world. Um, I pray for those people too. I really do. I believe in the power of prayer, and I'm just believing that, just like the name of this podcast, Time Tells All. I think that Jennifer's sweet, sweet little mama, she said it best. She said, one thing she's learned is we're not on our time, we're on God's time. And, when God, when the time is right, there's a reason. She's a believer, and she says, there's a reason why that we don't know yet. But I just believe in my soul that this is the year, this is the time, and we're gonna find her. I just believe that. I feel that.
And
And
somebody in the chat said, "What's her last name?" Remind them what's her
Powers,
last name.
Powers. She went to Sparkman High School in Madison County. She went to Sparkman High School. She was a A honor roll student, real pretty redhead, little petite redhead.
How
And her
old would
last
she
name
be today? Do you know?
Oh gosh, hang on, don't get me lying. She was 28 when she went missing. So what's 28 plus 18? That's that's how old she'd be.
46.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
Jennifer
yeah,
Powers, and
yeah,
she would be
yeah.
46 today.
Hmm. Yeah. And like I said, she unfortunately had one daughter that passed away. And when it first happened, how your brain tries to protect yourself. And I thought, well, maybe she wasn't happy with part of her life. I knew better because I knew her. I knew how she was with her children. But then you try to think, well, okay, maybe. maybe she was tired of living like she was living and just knew the only way to get out of it was just to leave. But when her daughter passed away and she wasn't around then, I knew then that Jennifer for sure was gone.
Well,
So
she didn't have the means to be able to disappear for this long.
no,
I mean,
no, she didn't.
it's just
No,
that requires a lot of assets. I mean,
yeah,
you're to actually go undetected for this long. I mean, you're not going to do that without money,
no,
um,
no.
or you, unless you're a survival expert or something. But most people are not. So,
Well, well, and
but I
most people wouldn't leave with what cash they had. They wouldn't leave it in their pants pocket at their house or leave without their cigarettes and lighter.
well, I appreciate you. Hold on. What did I just do? Okay, I did not mean to do that. That was very rude of me. Monica, if you're watching, hit that link again, and that should bring you back up. I did not mean to cut her off. No, I didn't mean to. She's texting me now. Why is that showing? Oh, that's why. Monica, if you're watching, I did not mean to do that. I apparently just hit the wrong button at the wrong time. She knows I didn't mean to do that. Well, anyway, I didn't mean to just cut her off right there. But now give the make sure you go listen to her podcast. All you got to do is listen 3 or 4 minutes into the first episode, and you're going to be drawn in 100%. I mean, I found myself like waiting for the next episode. Truly, no, Monica, I did not mean to do that. I would have never just cut you off like that. So I'm very sorry, but no, I did not mean to do that. I feel bad now, but anyway, good podcast. You won't be disappointed. I'm looking forward to more and to her doing more podcasts. And me and her have discussed a lot of things. I think we're going to be teaming up on a lot of things too. So I'm excited about that as well. Technical foul. But yeah, if you like we're saying, if you've never gone through that, I can't imagine. Like I said, I've had to sit down with families and deal with families that are going through that and have gone through it for a long time, and it's really sad. That's one reason I'm so passionate about missing persons cases, and as I said earlier, so bothered by the amount of missing people just out of Walker County and the way that Nick Smith and some of the others there talk about it like it's just nothing. Same way they talk about deaths in the jail. You see them throwing around. We read one comment the other night or a post where some of Nick's supporters were saying, I don't know why everybody's so hard on Nick Smith. He's had, I don't even remember however many deaths in his jail since he's been there. And the previous sheriff had 9. We're not talking about the previous sheriff, and that's horrible too. But he's not the sheriff anymore, so that's over. And like I've said, every jail is going to have that. There's no way around that. Again, it's not like that's the safest place as far as there's nowhere you can go that nobody loses their life. That's just impossible. We all go at some time. And the way they were putting it, the point I made was, using your logic, then we should be investigating all the hospitals. Like, that's the same logic. Like, no, people are going to lose their life in jail. Most of the time, it's going to be natural causes, but it's going to happen. We know 100% without a doubt, Tony Mitchell's was not natural at all. Not at all. And to see anybody, and there's, well, pretty much all of his supporters are acting like it's nothing. They're acting like he fell off a top bunk or something, like it was some kind of accident and it just happens. They should force every single one of them to sit down and watch the video. And I don't know how much of everything that was videoed. I know the ones that they've released that we've seen here and there, but I don't know however much the rest of it was videoed. But let's say the whole thing was on video. They should make every one of those people sit down and watch what happened to him and what he had to go through. And if any of them still okay after that, they're sick too. It's the same thing I've said about Brittany Stapleton's supporters. Every single person that supports Brittany Stapleton should have to be forced to go read Josh Stapleton's indictments. That's one of the few things you will ever hear me say. I will never read them again. Because after about the third time of me reading them and realizing I barely slept for the next 2 days, it's too much. And I've seen horrible things in my career. I mean, I've interviewed evil people and heard horrible things come out of their mouth and found evidence that I wish I hadn't. And reading his indictments are the most bothersome thing I've ever read in my life. And she has minions that will attack you. I mean, they got us shut down one night. It blows my mind. But I'm telling you all, I need to make sure to say this when I say that. Don't go read his indictments. I mean that. Don't. You will regret it. Because if you have a conscience at all, if you're a normal person, you will never forget what you read, and it's just not good for you. It's not. But again, these people, I don't understand it. I mean, I don't. It's nuts. So I told you all earlier that with the help of one of my viewers, I've put some things together with the Joshua LeBlanc case. And if you're not familiar, Joshua LeBlanc was the NASA scientist that is part of the, now I think they're up to 14 or 15 of the scientists and researchers that have either lost their life under suspicious circumstances, or they're just missing. And he was working in Huntsville. This is in 2025, so just last year. He left his wallet, his ID, everything in his wallet, his cell phone, and his Apple Watch at his house. Left there. And then they were able to trace his car, left his house early that morning, and went and sat at the Huntsville airport for 4 hours. And left there and ended up on a rural road, on Hill Road in Walker County, Alabama, and hit a tree. Car burst into flames, and he was burned beyond recognition. He was burned so bad, it took Alabama DFS, the Department of Forensic Sciences, 3 days to identify him. So, a lot of people are asking, as I am myself, what was he doing in Walker County? Like, that's very random. Now, today, I was talking to somebody, and they put another little spin on this that I hadn't really thought about like this, but makes sense. It is possible that whoever was behind his death, because I don't think this was not an accident. I mean, not that I don't think it was not. There's just no way. Backtrack just a little bit before I get to that next point. Amy Estridge was another scientist that was working in Huntsville, and they were working on some of the same technologies. Very intelligent woman, and she was working on anti-gravity stuff. So again, extremely intelligent. And this was in 2020. She allegedly took her own life. You'll never convince me that happened, because now we know she had done some work with this British intelligence officer, now former British intelligence officer, and some other people. But like a week or 2 weeks before she took her own life, she sent him messages saying, I can't remember exactly what they said. I've got them. I can pull them up, but pretty much saying, if somebody says I took my life, don't believe them. If I come up missing, it's not an accident. Like, if anything happens to me, please make sure it's fully investigated. And this was not the only thing she said. Leading up to all of this, and I even showed some pictures the other night, if you haven't seen them, of there were some like burnt things on her hands where she thinks and claims that somebody used some direct energy weapons on her. Her computer and her cell phone was consistently getting hacked into. And I listened to an interview with that same British intelligence officer the other day, and he confirmed that, because he was trying to help her figure out who was hacking into her phone. And he said it was legit. It was happening. So whoever was messing with her had a lot of technologies. So we're not talking about Joe from the street corner. We're talking about someone with some crazy technologies. They were hacking into her phone, hacking her computer. And then she also claimed, and that same British intelligence officer confirmed this, they kept messing with her car. And the British intelligence officer himself said, I know the technology exists to where if you're in a newer car, certain agencies, certain people can take control of your car. He said, trust me, which means he's probably done it too, part of his intelligence career. Amy was claiming that was happening to her son. All right, now back to Josh LeBlanc. I think let me say this, if that was him in his car, because again, taking 3 days to identify him, there's ways for people that know what they're doing. It may not have been him. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I think there is definitely a chance it wasn't. But if it was, then I think more than likely he wasn't alive when he was in Huntsville. Now let's just say for the sake of it that somebody was able to take control of his Tesla. And so if they have these technologies and they do this stuff professionally, they're also going to know where would be a good place to stage an accident that the chances of somebody figuring out it was an accident are slim to none. Where would that place be? Walker County. Because they will, in a split second, rule that you took your own life when there's no evidence pointing to that. Like, we know that for a fact. They've done that numerous times. So again, if you're a professional in that world, you're going to know these things. And if you know Joey Vick is the coroner, he doesn't know what he's doing. If local law enforcement respond and investigate, they don't know what they're doing. They're not going to do anything. So that was one spin I hadn't thought about. That maybe that's why he ended up in Walker County. Because that is 100% why some people end up in Walker County. As I've said, I had an informant myself that had, as far as I know, had no dealings in Walker County. That's where she ended up somebody dumped her body on the side of the road there. I don't think that's where she lost her life. I think she lost her life in another county, and they took her there and dumped her. That's the reason you would do those things. So again, do we know for a fact that somebody took control of his car? No, but I'm about to show you something that made the hairs on my body stand up immediately when I saw it last night. So keep all that in mind. We've already been talking about that. I've been having that theory in my head. And then last night I learned, let me get this pulled up. I learned that this company exists. You can't make up that name, my goodness, just by glance. Now, we're about to get to the very interesting part. You go to the list of their sites. Here, let me just make this full screen. You don't need to see me anyway. That way it's easier for y'all to see all this. Let's go to their sites. Let's go, where's this North Alabama range at? Established in 2023. Does anybody on here live in Hackleburg? Or around there? Around that county? Actually, hold on, let me pull it up. Pretty much right in between Hackleburg and Hamilton. So I know I've got some Hamilton people on here. Did y'all know this place existed? If you didn't, you're about to be way more concerned about it than you are right now. So you see here, it says our North Alabama range was settled intentionally in the remote region between the towns of Hackleburg and Hamilton, Alabama. Oh, it's right there. At 3,500 acres, we are IS4S's largest test range and have enabled capabilities for larger scale tests, including munitions up to 500 pounds, and our sophisticated facility assets allow for high velocity, impact, and radiation survivability testing. Let me say that again. Radiation survivability testing. The site leads for the North Alabama range and Opelika office, our sister site, work closely together to perform advanced engineering and testing for our customers and partners across a wide range of technology areas. Now, their biggest, obviously largest client is the United States government. We are a creative group with interdisciplinary expertise in electromagnetics, direct energy weapons. Same thing Amy Eskridge was swearing up and down was happening to her. High power microwave, pulse power, energetics, radiation, munitions, and electronic warfare. And we are deeply motivated to try innovative methods to solve the most challenging of problems. Look at the things they test there. Which one stands out the most right now? And then let me see. Hold on. This place is 40 miles from where Joshua LeBlanc's vehicle was found. Both out in the middle of nowhere. But when I pulled this up last night, this is where I about fell out of my chair when I saw vehicle electronics. Then I click vehicle and vessel stopping and electronics hardening and testing. And then that's as far as you can click. If you stick to the pattern here, wow, it's coming together in a scary way. But this is for those of you that live around there. I want you to know what's going on in your backyard. Because as I said, did anybody that lives around there, did you have any idea this place existed there? And I'll tell you the exact address of it. The exact address is 4681 Chalk Mine Road, Hackleburg, Alabama. But anyone that lives anywhere around there, did y'all know, did you know this place existed? Has anybody told you they do radiation survivability testing in your backyard? Because as far as just in general, that's what would bother me the most. I mean, if I was anywhere close to that, I would have a lot of issues with that. Then you go down the list: pulse power system design and testing, electronic warfare, high power microwave, directed energy weapons. And obviously some of this stuff is completely over my head. I couldn't tell you what it is in layman's terms. I hadn't had time to like look the stuff up, but I will. But some of this stuff just doesn't sound good. Flash X-ray, I don't know, maybe that's not as bad as it sounds. Again, I don't have a clue what it is, but I don't like the sound of it. Here's more radiation stuff under the space systems: radiation survivability, hardening, and testing. And then I have no clue what the rest of that stuff means. None, again, but I will put all this together and put it in a podcast. But as I said, does this place have anything to do with Joshua LeBlanc? I have no idea. But it does fit in that pattern. And again, with the theory that a lot of us already had in our heads, and then I click on here and I see vehicle electronics, I about fell out of my chair. I was like, holy shit. So this says Pulse Power. The North Alabama range is the home for, I keep on wanting to say ISIS because it's what it, IS4S, large pulse power system development, including large flash X-ray systems development. Capacitive discharge unit development, and high current, low inductance fire sets for detonator developments. show you something else I found interesting. A rather very large contract they just got. There it is. So they were just awarded a $10 million, a 5-year, $10 million contract for cognitive electromagnetic warfare research for the United States Air and Space Forces. Anyway, there's a lot of very big government contracts because, again, their main customer is the government. And as with anything that we look into and start digging into, usually we figure out other things. And so part of this, and I'm working on putting all that the information together. Something I found interesting about this is you saw that this site was began in 2023. I find it quite suspicious that about a year and a half before this was the property where they are was purchased, about a year and a half prior to this property being purchased by this government contractor for God knows how much money, the property was randomly purchased by 3 doctors out of Huntsville, Alabama. And then a year and a half later flipped and sold to this company. That's not a coincidence. The headquarters for all this stuff is in Huntsville. We know that. It's not a coincidence. Now, that's a whole other issue. And what's crazy about that is that's exactly what I said about the site in Walker County, the Defense and Munitions Proving Ground. We're going to pull that up. Because I said when I first heard about that, I said, I guarantee you there was some illegal stuff under the table going on with the purchase of that property. And now with this one, I would about bet everything there is. Because again, that's too random. It's just too random. But let me pull up this other. Now, this Defense Munitions Proving Ground was just opened, and this is in Walker County. And I did a full podcast on it So at some point, if you've not listened to that podcast, go check it out. But there's the address. I've been looking for the. Hold on, let me look at this right quick because I want to see where that place is in relation to where LeBlanc's vehicle was found. And at some point very soon, I'm going to go up there and video and take a bunch of pictures of the actual site where LeBlanc accident happened. Opelika, that IS4S has a I'm turned out right here. They have a test site arranged in Opelika as well. This is all the stuff they work on there. And that was established in 2016. Now, this is the government contractor that put the place in Walker County, the Defense Munitions Proving Ground, this Global Technical Systems. You see right there, Global Technical Systems expands operations in Walker County, Alabama, with major investment in state-of-the-art test facility. GTS is a recognized leader in advanced defense technology. Pleased to announce that its affiliate, Defense Munitions Proving Ground, has acquired an additional 700 acres in Walker County, Alabama, expanding DMPG's footprint to over 2,700 acres. I was trying to see if it was more specific as to what all they test there. Obviously munitions, but I'd like more specifics, but I don't know if we'll be able to find it. This is why I know there's some corruption going on with this place and where it happened to land. This statement right here, this is quote Jerry Smith, the chief operating officer of DMPG, the Defense Munitions Proving Ground. Walker County has been an exceptional partner in supporting our vision. Yeah, I'm sure they have. And we're going to be researching all these things, like where where we can simplify what all this stuff means, especially for the IS4S. Like I said, I'll put all that in a podcast and break it all down. And if you haven't seen the podcast I did on it, wait till you see their, where is it? Their logo for this place. Hold on, I think I have that. I think I've got that saved. Put it this way, it has something to do with the disclosure, all the disclosure documents that the government released today on the UAPs and UFOs and all that stuff. Now, let me go back to, take me forever to find it that way. Let me see. Where was I? Did they change their logo? Oh, I hope not. I mean, even if they did, I've got it saved somewhere. I just may not find it tonight. But team, can y'all see if y'all can find that logo somewhere and send it, put it in Discord? I bet maybe it was on social media where we saw it. That's in my podcast too. I could always get it from there. That is weird. I can't find that logo anywhere. What happened to it? I seriously think they have gone back and taken it out of all the pictures. They have. Look, you can hold on. I got to show y'all this. This is sketchy as can be. Wait till you see this. Yo, look, they have gone. You can see that somebody went back and digitally put that sign where it says "Welcome to DMPG." Look, they've covered up the old one. So you can tell they digitally went back. Yeah, they've changed it and they put that in. That's freaking weird. I mean, that is weird that they have taken the time to go back and do that on all the pictures everywhere. Am I just overthinking it, or is that extremely strange? Because they even had T-shirts. Some of them were wearing T-shirts with it on it. They sure have, though. You can tell. That is weird. Oh, I found it. They missed one. There it is. That was the original logo. And if you can't see it that well, that's a flying saucer beaming up a cow from a field. Because when we first, me and my team first saw it, when we first started covering this and saw it, we're like, what in the hell? It was the strangest logo I'd ever seen. Makes it even stranger now that they've gone back and tried to take it out of everything. It didn't make any sense. It makes it even more strange that now the government has now said we have retrieved items that are not human, that are not from this world. So again, this was very strange when it first came out. And then, like I said, now the fact that they've tried to remove it from everywhere is even more strange. Hey, if you're new, please follow. Make sure you're following me or subscribing, whichever platform you're on. If you're not following me or subscribing on my YT channel on YouTube, I'm trying to build that up, so I'd really appreciate you subscribe over there. That's also, I do a full podcast, and you can find my full podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. So make sure you go check those out. And then make sure you're following me on the other. You can find me on every platform under Agent D Baker, except for Facebook is my full name, Derek, Derek Baker. But we're on X. Follow me over there. And I mean, all the platforms. And especially if you're on TikTok, if you're enjoying the live, if you're getting any value out of it, and you can, I'd really appreciate for you to send some gifts. For this live, we need like 4 more galaxies for the TikTokers. I'd be very appreciative. But anyway, all right, back to business. Anyway, this whole thing, everything behind this is just strange. And honestly, normally, I would be saying, this is conspiracy theory, hogwash, there's probably nothing to it. But considering it has anything to do with Walker County, you will not hear me say that, because every single thing I've thought that I thought was crazy and was impossible that I've heard out of Walker County, I've always discovered that it actually is true. So you'll never hear me say that about anything with Walker County. Try to find me on X. It's Agent D Baker. Just one word, Agent D Baker. You should be able to find me. Derek, I thought of a name for you. My daddy was a coal miner. What about Truth Recon Underground? Oh, that's good. I like that, Nancy. Well, that's good. I like that. I may end up going with that. I like that. But anyway, this place was recently put there in Walker County, and I'll about guarantee you anything, there was some deals under the table with the purchase of this property and stuff, just like there was with the property in Hackleburg. No, there's a big picture of it. Oh, that's my post. I forgot I did a post on it. Yeah, it's just strange. And like I said, now that they have gone back and purposely covered it up in a lot of the pictures, that's just strange. But nobody could explain the reasoning behind this logo. Yeah, back in November of 25 is when I started talking about it. I said, somebody please tell me how the Defense Munitions Proving Ground, a weapons testing facility in Walker County, Alabama, somehow ended up with a logo that looks like a UFO abducting a cow in the middle of a horror movie. I'm dead serious. Look at this thing. Mountains, UFO, tractor beam, cow flying through the air. and this is supposed to represent a government-endorsed munitions range in Walker County, the most corrupt county in America. Now with the logo straight out of X-Files meets Yellowstone. And them changing the logo and trying to cover it up probably has absolutely nothing to do with me. But from now on, we're going with that. We're going to say they changed it because I gave them so much hell about it. That sounds better. We're going to take credit for that, even though I'm sure it had nothing to do with us. It must be on my pictures on my Facebook. Yeah. But anyway, now let me see. Let me get back to see. I'm trying to see where that is in relation to. Let's just pull it. Let me pull up Google Maps right quick. Let's put this together. So this is my. I may have some other counties in there, but I think it's mostly. This is my Walker County missing persons map. We don't have all of them yet, but the ones that we've started looking into, investigated some. So these are all the locations. These red things are all the locations where the last known locations of some of the missing people. Now let's find. One five one Coal Valley Road in Townley. So this is that. Let me save that. See, so we have that. And it's a Hill Road. And I got to go back and see. Trying to remember exactly where his car was. See, I know it was Hill Road and something. Okay, so that was right around here. Drummond Switch, Cutoff Road, and Hill Road, if I remember correctly. Team, am I correct? And thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate you. Seriously. Makes me think of the movie Twister. Oh, that does. I won't be able to unsee that now. It does. It's funny. No, I don't want. That didn't save right. Hold on. Save right here. So definitely not what I would consider close to the defense proving ground place. But again, where he was just, I mean, it's just a extremely random, extremely rural area. I mean, there's nothing around there. I don't know how I got this all sideways here. There we go. Much better. While we're on this, going to go ahead and add that other place. Because I have a feeling we're going to be talking about it a lot. 4681 Chalk Road. So here we have that testing facility, and then over here is the other one in Walker County. And then here where LeBlanc was. And LeBlanc would have been coming from Huntsville. So I don't know why it keeps changing like that. So, I mean, you could possibly make a case that maybe he was on his way to that place, but I don't even know if it was up and operating then, as far as the defense munitions place in Walker County. But it really wouldn't make sense as far as if you were trying to go from Huntsville to the ISIS place. You wouldn't be down here. But it is very, very strange that that place in Hackleburg happens to be there and connected to the type of things he was himself research or a scientist of. And also they were working on the vehicle stuff. And directed energy weapons, which is what what was her name? Eskridge was saying was happening to her. So I don't know. We're going to obviously keep investigating and digging and then digging and digging. And there's just no telling where we'll end up. You sent me a message about a child exploitation issue. Can you look at it? Yeah, sure will. I'll take a look at that. But all right, I think that's all I have for tonight. I hope you found it interesting, got something out of it. And I will be back live. My normal live times are Mondays and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central, and then Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central. Sometimes I'll go an extra one. It's possible I get back on tomorrow night, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I appreciate each and every one of you for being on here. I really do. I mean that. It means a lot to me. And couldn't do any of this without all of you all. Your support means a lot to me. And you're what helps push the stuff out and bring awareness to the stuff we're talking about. So all I ask of you is to watch my videos, listen to my podcast, watch them all the way through, like them, comment on them, and share. And those are the things that pushes them out for the algorithm for everybody else. And again, brings awareness to them. So I appreciate that. And I'm always live on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at the same time. So whichever one of those you prefer to be on. And again, if you're not subscribing on YouTube, I'd really appreciate if you would go over there and subscribe to my channel there. Again, it's Agent D. Baker. And want to thank my team, because I definitely couldn't do any of this without them. I know they're behind the scenes, but I couldn't do any of this without them, that's for sure. They do amazing work between the research and all the other stuff they do is amazing. We are still working on the website. Hopefully we'll have that up and running very soon. And the course is on there. So been putting a lot of time into it, and eventually we'll get that up and running. I'm excited about all of that. And happy Mother's Day. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers out there. None of us would be here without you, that's for sure. So, but yeah, I hope you all have a great Mother's Day and a great weekend, and enjoy your weekend. And if there's anything I do for you, let me know. If you have any information, whether it be on any cases I'm currently covering, or something you'd like for me to look at and cover, don't hesitate to send that to me. I will never, ever repeat your name under any circumstance to nobody, not the police, nobody. If you send me information, so you do not have to worry about that. I will keep you fully anonymous unless you don't want to be. But I'm very careful about that. If you do message me and you have any sensitive information, don't just message me that out of the gate. Message me first. Tell me you've got some sensitive information, and we will then move to a very secure texting platform to talk about that. That way, nobody could ever get their hands on the information. Nobody would ever be able to see who you were or anything like that. Again, I take this stuff very serious. So we'll go from there. But if you have any information, if you're interested, or you know anybody that's interested in being a guest on the podcast or the information, you can email us at agentdbaker315@gmail.com. It's agentdbaker315@gmail.com. Or you can message me on any of the platforms. But the best way is to email. And again, send me an email. And if you got sensitive information, let me know that, and then we'll move to another app that's fully secure to discuss that. Hope you all have a great night and a great rest of your weekend. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.